Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Olabintan, Tolulope Olabintan of Livingspring Family Medical Center. So while I'm waiting for her to join, I wanted to kind of talk about why did we choose to do this topic? Because I got a lot of patients saying that, look, doc, I want to eat healthy, but I got young kids and they don't like things that are green or orange. They like things that are fried and super, super oily and greasy. And so it's frustrating to have to cook something different for one person versus cooking something different for another. So there was a frustration as a parent saying that I'm making food for myself to eat healthy, but my kids won't eat it. One kid likes this, another kid likes this. I can't cook for three different people. So Michelle, it's waiting for you to respond. And oh, I have approved. I approve it. And so you should be jumping on soon. All right. Yay!
Okay.
How long did it take two doctors
Hi.
to come on the live screen? Apparently a couple of minutes, but we're good. It's so nice to see you. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Oh, sorry about that.
You're good.
Okay?
You are good. You're here. I'm happy. I'm thankful. Awesome. Thank you for joining. So I was just giving them a little spiel as to why we decided to have this talk. But I think everyone kind of gets the idea. Busy moms, picky eaters. How do I balance? Like, how do I make food that's healthy for me, the whole family, that we can enjoy? So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to you and say, please tell us who you are. I know you as Melissa Choi and what you do.
Thank you so much, Dr. O. It's been so great to finally connect. And sorry about the technical difficulties. You did a great job. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Dr. Melissa. I'm a board certified family medicine and obesity medicine physician. I practice here in Minnesota, where I live with my husband and 3 daughters. The oldest is 9, and then I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Okay.
I'm also the founder of the Mom Plate, where I help busy moms and families make long-lasting lifestyle changes so they can be in control of their health, but also doing it in a way where you don't feel like you need to take more time to do so. Because I know a lot of times moms and families kind of hesitate to live that healthy lifestyle because they think it just takes too much time.
Okay, awesome.
So I'm here to help all those moms and families and kids show that you don't need to take more time to have that healthy lifestyle.
Next question. So I get the idea of why, or the target group for the Mom Plate, but is there a story you can relate to us, like what kind of did it for you? Like, I got to start this. I got to start the Mom Plate. So also, I'm bringing this up because one, a good story is good. It's always nice to know the story behind a product. And then also because I want to also use that as a way to challenge people that there's something you should do. You have a message to pass out that would help others. Go for it. So when did you decide, like, what was the story behind the Mom Plate? Like, when did you begin that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it kind of goes back to when I had my first daughter. So that was 9 years ago.
Okay.
I was finishing my last year of residency. And as you know, residency is busy. We're working 80-hour work weeks. And at that time, I was just taking care of patients and kind of taking care of my baby. I did not put myself first at all.
Okay.
And so not exercising, just eating whatever I could grab in the cafeteria. And then once I graduated residency, I found out I was pregnant with my second daughter. And so things kind of went quickly. And, I was in my first year of practice, again, challenging time. And then now with 2 kids under 2, it was not doubly busy. It became exponentially busy, when you have 2 kids. And again, I was not sleeping. I was drinking lots of Diet Coke to stay awake, to be able to care for everyone and just not prioritizing myself. And I actually had my own kind of personal health scare, and everything ended up being fine. But my doctor was like, are you exercising and taking care of myself? And that was really my wake-up call for myself, and I was like, no, not really. And just realizing that even though I'm caring for all these patients and counseling patients to eat well and exercise, I wasn't doing that for myself. And at the same time, during practice as a family medicine doctor, I was realizing, you kind of see a lot of the same chronic conditions, people with high blood pressure, diabetes, osteoarthritis, and all of those things really can be related to obesity. What causes those things? Obesity is often associated with those healthcare concerns. And I realized, like, what if instead of just treating these problems once people are diagnosed with these things, can we treat the obesity and help patients just avoid getting these problems? And so that got me really interested in obesity medicine, and I became board certified in obesity medicine in 2019.
Okay.
And that was around the time my third daughter was born. And I realized, I think a lot of times patients find help when we're talking to them and diagnosing and giving them medication. But, even looking at my own life as a mom, I realized there's so much that needs to be shared in terms of just the day-to-day, like how do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of our families? How do we feed our families? And that's kind of where the Mom Plate was born.
Awesome.
Kind of going through that myself as a mother of 3 young girls, and learning how to manage my own time, but also to help keep my family healthy without, really spending too much time, and making it enjoyable.
Okay.
As
well.
So
it's not gruesome and it's not painful. And I remember everyone, the challenge here is every day making new steps towards getting you to a healthier point. So it's not the pressure of, I got to throw away everything I'm eating. I got to stop everything I'm doing and just make a radical change. I mean, that would be heroic actually, but it's okay. Little steps here and there. And that's why we're here having this discussion. Like, there are ways to enjoy healthier meals without, having to spend that much time, and in a way that the whole family will enjoy. So let's get right to it. One of the biggest challenges as moms, as we talked about, is the fact that, well, I have a 2-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, I have a 6-year-old. They all like different things. So how do you navigate that with moms? Like, okay, I'll give an example. I have a 6-year-old who loves avocados. She will eat it raw, just from the scoop. My son would thinks it's nauseating, and then he'll do mango. She wouldn't touch a mango. So it's easy. I can do or certain foods. I cook certain beans, or I cook. So how do you talk to that mom who's saying, I want to eat healthy, but I can't cook 3 different meals for 3 different people?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, moms shouldn't. Sometimes moms feel like to be a line cook, right? I've seen that or heard that. So I tell parents that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I tell parents, you don't need to be a line cook, but you can offer multiple things at a meal. If you offer a salad, you offer fruit, and you offer the mango, you offer multiple healthy options. Again, not a line cook, but maybe 3 different things for dinner, but they're all healthy options. And you let your child choose, because that's what a kid ultimately wants, or even what we all want, right? We all want to have choices. And I think one thing as a parent is you can give your child choices, but just make sure you give them healthy choices during that meal. And I also say, don't give up after once. Like, if a child says, oh, I don't like mangoes, don't just assume that that's the end of the story. It can often take, especially young kids, their palates, they're learning different textures. Try it again. And oftentimes it can take children 7 or 8 times before they realize that they actually like it. I had a daughter that said she didn't like tofu, but we eat tofu pretty regularly at our house. So I just offered it to it. And over time, she started liking tofu. So you never know if you don't try.
That is so true. And I'll tell you a funny story. We had gone out to eat, and there was a meal that was prepared. Actually, we had all traveled as a family. And I told the family, oh no, my kids don't eat this. And, like a confident mom,
yeah.
And they gulped it down so quickly and asked for seconds. And I sat there and said, but you don't like it. But you said you didn't like it. So the parents were, and she was she said, look, don't worry, they do this all the time. But I've seen that pattern over and over again. They don't like something, a few weeks ago, you bring it again as an option, they'll like it. But I also like the point you made. I wanted to emphasize that on giving them options. So that means we should have to have that mindset in mind, leftover foods we can represent as an option, because they like the power of choice. So we're going to use that, okay, here's this, and this. You get to choose what you eat today. Of course, some of it will be leftover because we're not going to make 3 whole course menus.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Okay. So the next thing I was going to talk a little bit about is meal prepping. I believe we need to meal prep almost and what is meal prepping? Because sometimes it sounds very daunting. It's just saying, based on what is in the fridge, or what's available, or based on what's going on this week, we need to prepare ahead of time for the week. Because if you do anything last minute, sometimes it gets a little more difficult and you make the wrong choices. How would you help moms in the meal prepping process so it doesn't sound like this daunting task? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I understand. I think a lot of times when people hear that, they just think, oh no, that's going to add another 3 hours to my week. I don't have time to do that. When you take 1 hour to plan, that's going to save you 10 hours later in the week, when you're scrambling around. And One of the first steps I say, once your kids are busy doing sports and activities and, you have parents that work outside of the home, is to look at your calendar before you go to the grocery store to really know, what's on the schedule for the week.
Okay.
So, Tuesday, Johnny has soccer, so it's going to be very busy. We're going to have to eat something quick that day.
Okay.
Thursday is my admin day. I have a little bit more time to cook. And look at your schedule before you go to the grocery store, so you can kind of have a general idea of what types of meals that you're going to cook.
Okay.
And I actually wrote out a schedule. Tuesday we're going to make tacos. Wednesday we're going to have soup. So I have a general idea when I'm going to the grocery store, and that way I have what I need in the kitchen, which I think is helpful when you plan. And the other tip that I give parents and clients too is to give yourself margin.
Okay.
You never know if Johnny's baseball game is going to go into overtime or extra innings. And so you thought you were going to have time to make chicken, but you don't when you come home. And so maybe that night you need to, reheat frozen soup that you have in the freezer and a salad. So almost to have meals that are simple and easy and that you can just cook on a whim if you need to, because, things always come up, right? Things never go as planned in our schedule. And I think having that and knowing that that's going to happen will really save you from saying, oh, well, the game ran late, so we just got to run through the drive-through because I don't have time to cook.
Okay. So you mentioned, I just want to pick up the highlights. Number one, 1 hour will save you multiple hours during the week. So planning for 1 hour. Look for 1 hour during the week. Usually preferably maybe a Sunday. I'm guessing Sunday.
So I usually say just do it a day or two before you go grocery shopping.
Okay.
If you go shopping on a Tuesday, then maybe Sunday. And the other tip too is try to go the same day each week. If grocery day is Tuesday, that way you kind of know how much to buy each week if I'm only shopping for a week. And in general, the schedules are the same each week. For example, your soccer practice is every Wednesday, so you kind of know what to expect. But if you're going shopping on a Saturday and then a Wednesday and a Thursday, it's a little bit harder to anticipate what the schedule is like.
Okay, so 1 hour of planning before you plan grocery shopping. You should have your list, right? And try to do it the same time every week so it becomes a pattern. So it sounds like shopping should be a weekly thing. Now, I have to tell you, this is one of the toughest conversations I have with my patients. They're like, every week, doc? No. Once.
You know what? During the pandemic, I started going shopping every 2 weeks.
Okay.
When the pandemic first started, we weren't sure, and I was trying to limit exposure. You can go every 2 weeks, but then you need to plan for 2 weeks.
All right.
Like write out meals for 2 weeks. But if you don't want to go to the grocery store every 2 weeks, I think that's possible as well too. Now people say, how does your produce last
2 weeks? Yes.
Or what do you do from that standpoint? And I had to make a lot of accommodations this past year, so I've learned to eat the leafy vegetables, salads, things like that, the beginning of the week or when I first went grocery shopping. And then, we do have a lot of those root vegetables, things like sweet potatoes, squash. They're a little bit hardier. Carrots, they can actually last a fair amount of time. So save those kind of toward the end of your cycle, at the end of 2 weeks, and cook those vegetables during that time. But have a general plan. Maybe planning every day exactly doesn't work for you, but if you have a general idea, like leafy vegetables in the beginning, root vegetables later in the week, that will help you too.
So there's no you can't do once a month. You're going to eat healthy. I just want to throw that out there.
Well,
that's what you do frozen veggies.
Yes. Yep. I mean, if you want to cook a lot of meals ahead of time, you could probably freeze some meals. I know some people that do that, but then you have to know that it's probably going to be more than an hour of planning. It's probably the same amount of cooking. It's just whether you do it all at the beginning of the month or you kind of each night.
All right. But fresh fruits and vegetables, 1 to 2 weeks thereabout. So sometimes it sounds like making the meal is like it takes forever because it's healthy. You got to chop it. You got to mince this, and it sounds very fruit just a little bit. So how do you help your clients and patients realize that healthy cooking actually is not that tasking? And I'm not saying it's not work. How do you address that question? They say, I don't have time to spend all day cooking. So what's the average time you say you help your clients with cooking, and how do you address that to a patient who is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I completely understand where that patient or where that client is coming from, because it does take time. If we want to use fresh fruits and vegetables, it takes time to clean and wash and chop them. I mean, things that come from a bag don't take time, so it's a lot easier to throw something in the freezer. So I absolutely understand that. I think what I would say is that try to batch your tasks if you can. If I'm going to be chopping up the onions, I just chop up all the onions for the week and have it in the fridge ready to go, because your cutting board's already out. You're already doing the chopping task. You don't have to wash it 7 times, you know, each day of the week. And the vegetables, one thing that I like to do is the oven's already on and I'm roasting vegetables. Just roast all the vegetables for the next few days. So that way, when I come home the next day from work, to turn on the oven again, cook the vegetables another 20 or 30 minutes. I just reheat what I've already cooked the day before, which only takes a few minutes. And so if you can batch some of those tasks, especially the chopping, I think that can help save time. And that way it's less work during the rest of the week.
Okay. So key points here: batch task, batch cook. Okay, batch. So if you're chopping something, go ahead and chop a whole lot of things that you would use. You're baking something. You can even use the when you're done baking, you turn off the oven, the heat, the leftover heat to kind of, you know,
it's already there.
Yeah, it's already there. So batch, all doing this in batch. And I'll be honest with you, you know, these things may seem inconvenient, but like I say, you are worth the inconvenience. You're worth it. And I saw a post I wanted to share. I saw a post on Instagram. There's someone who would share that people complain about how long it takes, like making a meal for 30 minutes, but we spend hours just on Facebook and on social media, like hours. If we were to time ourselves, I actually have to put a timer on my Instagram. So 20 minutes, once it tells me you've spent, and then I have to leave, like that's it. So we do spend a lot of time on things that don't necessarily add value. So what we're doing is just reprioritizing and saying, you know, I'll commit to 30 minutes of my time to make something that's healthier for me and the family. It is inconvenient, but you're worth it. All right. My next question that comes up quite a bit is the cost. It sounds like eating healthy is expensive. And that's why the healthier foods, you know, with the, the clean taste, like I said, like whenever, you know, I eat out and eat at a clean place, the taste is different than when you eat at a fast food. But the cost is sometimes discouraging. So you have kids with a voracious appetite and, you know, you want to stretch the dollar a little. What are tips? How do you help patients navigate, you know, the cost issue? Tips.
Well, I think first of all, if you really think about it, if you're going out to eat and, you know, you're running through the drive-through, it's not cheap. Like, I think I saw the cost of McDonald's is like $8 or $9 for one of their meals, like the sandwiches and fries and a drink. And you multiply that by 5, you know, so you have 5 people in your family like me, that's already $40. You know, I think that it's very reasonable to use less than that money to cook one meal. But what I think there's a few things that you could do from a cost perspective. One is if you have a place where you can buy in bulk and say freeze chicken breast, for example. I have a lot of chicken breast that's frozen in my freezer, and that can save money. And the other thing is really decreasing the amount of meat consumption, because meat and protein tend to be a little bit more expensive, you know, per pound versus a carrot. And so if you increase your vegetable intake, your bean intake, it is much more affordable in some ways to be healthy than, say, you're cooking 3 pounds of steak for your family. And so, and I'm a carnivore. People that know me that I like to eat meat, but we really try to limit the amount of meat. And so what I do is my husband and I will share a steak, for example, if we're eating steak, and then we load on a large salad. And a large salad is much more affordable than, say, buying 2 whole steaks. So those are just a couple examples in terms of, you know, buying in bulk, freezing things, and then splitting and really limiting the amount of meat consumption, increasing your vegetables. And it shouldn't cost more than what it would cost to go through the drive-through for your family.
So I wanted to highlight a few points. Limiting meats, okay, the other sources of protein. Freezing, so buying frozen foods is a good idea. And then another thing I always like to add is whatever fruit's on sale that week, that's the fruit for the week. And veggies, whatever's on sale. There's usually a fruit or veggie on sale. Bananas are typically very cheap. I love cherries, but they're expensive. And the berry, I love cherry. And then the berries, sometimes they go on sale. And every grocery store, I think they have a cycle. I think Sundays is when they're trying to clean out the old and bring in the new. So if for each grocery store, if you know the pattern, maybe you can plan your grocery shopping for that day, because that's when they're trying to kind of clear out. So you're buying, of course, you want it as fresh as possible, but I mean, if it's still fresh, you should be able to get it at a decent price. So wrapping yourself around the mindset of, okay, I got to eat fruits and vegetables. Yes, I don't want to spend too much, but remember, one of the greatest investment you can make is in yourself and people you love. So taking care of yourself is really, really, really important. I wanted us to talk a little bit about mindsets. One of the things I'm learning, even, you know, outside of being a physician or even being a mom and being a person and living out what I'm supposed to live out, I realize one of the biggest hurdles are mindsets. Even when it comes to eating healthy, or being a mom and balancing it all. So what are mindsets around healthy eating that you have encountered most frequently? So we want examples, and then how were you able to change those or encourage a change in those mindsets?
I think one of the biggest things, because I work with moms in all different areas, whether it's meal planning or exercising, anytime we're going to try to instill or start a new habit, my big mindset change is just go slow.
Okay. Don't
feel like you need to go from 0 to 100 for anything. Because I know a lot of times when moms come like, oh, we eat so much frozen food or takeout, I want to cook healthy every meal, every day of the week. And I said, yes, that's a great goal to get to, but it's going to be pretty difficult, and you'll probably burn out and not even get there, especially if you're not used to cooking or you're not sure what to cook. And so like changing any habit, let's start a little bit at a time. If you're not used to cooking, try just cooking one meal a week. Like, let's go slow, get into that routine. And then once you feel like that's comfortable, that's an easy routine, you can make that meal without even looking at a recipe, then start doing 2 meals a week. And gradually over time, you're going to realize that you can maintain this habit and it doesn't feel like work. But if you try to jump all in and try to I'm going to do 7 meals, and you don't even know what you're getting, all these different groceries, produce that you've never cooked with, it's going to be frustrating, and children won't like to eat it. So nobody's going to eat the food that you're cooking. But if you're doing just gradual steps, over time, you'll realize that a bunch of small steps added together is going to make a big impact in you and your family's life.
Okay, so start low, go slow.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So I was going to ask, because one of the things I did look at is the recipes from the Mom Plate. I love how simple you made them look. All right. So, and I know, one of the things we're going to do is link people up to that, at least one of the recipes. But could you speak a little bit to how long on average it takes to make a meal from the Mom Plate? Because I want people to know that it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. And I don't have a ton of recipe posted, but if you were to work with me, I'm pretty good at curating, and all the recipes that I give to my clients are really 20 to 30 minutes from starting in the kitchen to eating at dinner.
20 to 30. I could do that. 20 to 30 minutes. Do you hear that, guys?
And the
20
reason
to 30. That's doable.
The reason is I know that we don't have time. When I come home at 6 p.m. from work, like, I don't have time to cook an hour. My kids are hungry. They want to eat, and so I purposely have recipes, whether my own or, that I found from other people, that they can be cooked in one pot, chopped quickly, throw it all in, and have dinner on the table. Because if it's not quick, we're not going to cook it. And if we're not going to cook it, we don't get to eat it.
True. Awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for all the tips that you shared with us. I want you to do me a favor, though. I want you to tell people where they can find you. I've listened to some of your talks. I have watched some of your videos. I have gone to your website, but I want you to tell people where they can find you. And I'll be sure to post a link at the end of this live.
Yeah, so I am on the internet at themomplate.com, all one word, or you can find me on Instagram. My handle is @themomplate. And both places I share lots of free tips. Occasionally I'll share recipes. And if you go to my website, themomplate.com, I have various coaching packages where I can do one-on-one coaching, either month to month, customizing things to help with meal planning or an exercise routine, or I do a 3-month comprehensive package where I help a mom kind of kickstart everything. Maybe they want to do time management, stress management, cooking, and exercise. And you can find all of that on my website at the Mom Plate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. I do have a favor. To ask everyone who's watching. Please share this with those who will find it useful. Share with friends, with friends. The whole point of this is just to help us understand that healthy eating doesn't have to be difficult. There's a process to it. It is doable. Just start where you are. You got it.
Yes. You got it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for being patient through the whole kinks with.
Oh yeah, same with you. This technology is not my favorite.
It's so funny each time, but thank you so much, Melissa. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Good. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the